There's something happening right now, in 2026, that should worry you even if you've never missed a single payment in your life. People who paid their bills on time for years, sometimes for over a decade, are suddenly defaulting on debt, and the most surprising part is who it's happening to. Not people who were reckless with money, not people who ignored their finances for years. Ordinary people, people who had a system, people who thought they were doing everything right. And that's exactly what makes this story so important to understand right now before it quietly happens to you. Here's the actual data behind this. Roughly 2.6 million additional federal student loan borrowers had their loans sent to collections in just the first 3 months of this year, on top of about 1 million more who defaulted at the end of last year. But here's the detail that should really get your attention. The average person defaulting right now is almost 39 years old, and most of them were paying on time before a multi-year pause on payments started back in 2020. This isn't about people who were careless. This is about people who had a system that worked. The system paused for years, and when it restarted, that system quietly fell apart, and a lot of them didn't even notice until it already hurt their credit. Think about what that actually means in practical terms. When payments pause for 2, 3, even 4 years, your brain stops accounting for that expense. It disappears from your monthly mental budget. You adjust your lifestyle, maybe just slightly, to the money that's now staying in your account and you don't even realize you've done it. Then, when payments restart, it's not just about finding the money, it's about rewriting a habit that your brain erased over years of the payment simply not existing. And for a lot of people, especially those in their late 30s and 40s who were already juggling a mortgage, childcare, rising grocery bills, and everything else, that extra payment hitting all at once was the thing that broke the system. And the damage when this happens isn't small. People who default this way see their credit score drop by an average of 91 points. Think about what that actually means in real life. 91 points can be the difference between qualifying for a mortgage and getting rejected, between a normal auto loan rate and a rate that cost you thousands more over the life of the car, between renting the apartment you wanted and getting passed over for someone with a cleaner file. And the worst part is that recovering those points doesn't happen in weeks. It can take years of perfect payment history to fully undo the damage from a default that could have been avoided with one phone call or one account check done early enough. If you're anywhere near this age range right now, here's the first move before we go any further. Go check the actual current status of any loan you paused or restructured in the last few years. Today, not this weekend, today. A lot of people assume if they're not getting aggressive collection calls, everything is fine. That is not how this works anymore, and finding out the hard way is the most expensive lesson you'll ever learn about your own finances. If you're liking this so far, hit subscribe right now. I post videos exactly like this every week. Now, this isn't only happening with student loans, and that's the part of this story that most people miss when they hear the headline. This is part of a bigger financial squeeze that's hitting almost everyone's budget from multiple directions at the same time, and understanding the full picture matters because these things don't just add up, they multiply on each other. Inflation accelerated again this year, with prices rising close to 4% over the past 12 months, the fastest pace in years, driven heavily by a sharp jump in gas prices and continued increases in food and housing costs. That means the same paycheck that covered your bills comfortably a year or two ago is quietly buying less, even if your income hasn't changed at all. Let's put a real number to that because percentages can feel abstract until you do the math on your own life. If you bring home $4,000 a month after taxes, 4% inflation means you've effectively lost around $160 a month in purchasing power compared to last year. That's not a dramatic collapse. It's not a crisis you'd notice in 1 week. It's the kind of slow drain that builds up invisibly month after month until suddenly your budget feels tight and you're not sure exactly why. And that slow drain is exactly the condition that pushes people toward relying more on credit cards to cover the gap between what they earn and what everything now costs. And when budgets get tight, people lean on credit to fill the gap. Total household debt in the country climbed to nearly $19 trillion, and credit card balances alone sit around $1.25 trillion, still up significantly compared to a year ago, even after a small seasonal dip. Here's the part most people miss. A small seasonal dip after the holidays doesn't mean things are getting better. It's a pattern that happens every single year as people pay down Christmas spending, and the bigger trend underneath it is balances that keep climbing higher year over year. The floor keeps rising, even if there's a small temporary ceiling every January. What makes credit card debt especially dangerous right now compared to almost any other point in recent history is where interest rates are sitting. Rates on credit cards are near record highs, which means every month you carry a balance, you're paying more in interest than you would have paid for the same balance just a few years ago. If you're carrying $2,000 on a card right now at a high interest rate, you're losing money every single month just to stand still, before you've paid down a single dollar of the actual balance. So why does all of this matter so much right now? And why does it matter especially for people in this specific age range? Because paused debt restarting, inflation quietly eating your paycheck, and rising credit card rates all hit hardest exactly in the stage of life when you're carrying the most financial weight at once. Late 30s, early 40s, sometimes into the 50s. That's when the mortgage or rent is highest. When you might be raising kids or supporting aging parents. When your own retirement should finally be getting serious attention. And when there are frankly just more bills to manage than at almost any other point in your life. It's not that people in this range are bad with money. It's that this specific moment is squeezing from every direction at once, and most people don't connect all the dots until they're already behind on at least one of them. Here's what actually helps, and it's simpler than you'd think, because the solution to a multi-directional squeeze isn't a complicated financial strategy, it's visibility. You can't fix what you can't see clearly. First, if you have any paused or deferred debt of any kind, student loans, a mortgage forbearance, a car payment restructured during a hard stretch. Check the actual current status this week, not when a letter arrives. Second, look at your credit card balances right now and compare them to where they were exactly 12 months ago. If they're higher, even slightly, that's your early warning sign, and early warning signs are free to act on in a way that late ones never are. And third, build a small buffer specifically for this kind of slow squeeze. Even $50 or $100 a month, set aside automatically gives you enough room to absorb a price jump or a payment restart without immediately reaching for a credit card to cover it. The people who get through periods like this without lasting damage to their credit, their savings, or their peace of mind aren't always the ones with the highest income. They're almost always the ones who check their actual numbers before something forces them to. The cost of catching a problem in month 1 is a phone call and a budget adjustment. The cost of catching it in month 6 is 91 points off your credit score and years of rebuilding. That gap between catching it early and catching it late is the entire game. If any part of this hit close to home, drop a comment right now with what you're doing this week to stay ahead of this squeeze. I read every single one. And the answers are genuinely helpful to other people watching this exact video right now. And if you're not subscribed yet, do it now. New videos like this drop every single week.